Now for a quick Devar Torah. This week's Haftorah underlines the Parsha. Yehezkel, or Ezekiel, talks about that the family of Tzadok become the high priests in the temple, the Kohanim, that they basically take over because of their steadfastness in being true to the Torah. This is an important lesson. Remember that what we have in Amor, in the Parsha, is something interesting. We're concerned not only with how the priests or the Kohanim behave in the temple, in the tabernacle. The Torah says they have to behave properly outside. They have to marry the right type of woman. There are a lot of limitations on their behavior. That holiness isn't just what you do when you're on stage. Holiness is what you do when you're not on stage. Like ethics, morality is how you behave when nobody is looking, basically. And so this is what the Torah is coming to teach us, that leadership is determined by your behavior, not when in the public eye, but when not in the public eye. As I've mentioned frequently, President Reagan was famous that he would not enter the Oval Office unless he was in a suit and tie, not because he was egotistical or all this, but because his respect for the office. A number of years ago, we were in Brazil, and they took us to the emperor's palace. Brazil had an emperor for a number of years, and he had a palace. And when you entered the palace, there was this huge mirror. And the person who was supposed to be the tour guide said to us, "Oh, this shows you how narcissistic these people were, how narcissistic they were." And I pointed out, no, they weren't narcissistic. They were going to meet the emperor. They had to be dressed appropriately. And they were making sure that they were dressed appropriately. Outside of Versailles, the French palace, there was a lot of people selling clothing. So when you went to Versailles, you were dressed appropriately to meet the king. It wasn't narcissism. You were going to meet the most powerful person around. So, but also that, as I mentioned, Reagan would not enter the Oval Office unless he was in a suit and tie, not because he was of any other reason, that he said, this is the nature of the office. This office deserves this respect. And that's why also, if you ever notice, people in leadership positions, they behave in a certain way, and we hope they behave privately. As we know, it is not because we don't have laws that countries fall apart, but because people do not respect this societal norms. And that's why the Parsha comes very important, that it tells us we have to behave. It's how we behave when we're not in the spotlight. It's when we're private. Something to think about.